Welcome back to It's the Groove, the podcast that takes you under the wrapper to uncover the hidden connections in the music we love. I'm Dave, your co-host. As always, I'm joined by the 80s music muse herself, Kelly, who will be with us shortly. And today, we're back with the second part of our interview with legendary drummer Tris Imboden. In part one of our conversation with Tris, we traced the early chapters of an extraordinary musical journey, from surf bands and auditions to playing behind some of the most iconic voices of the era. We heard stories from the road and from the studio with Kenny Loggins, Al Jarreau, Chaka Khan, and others, and got a glimpse of the musical instincts and work ethic that would shape everything that followed. In part two, we turned the page to the chapter that defined a generation, Tris's remarkable 28-year run behind the drum kit for Chicago. This is where the story deepens. Chicago wasn't just a band Tris joined. It became a musical home, a living, breathing institution with a legacy already decades in the making. We talk about stepping into a group with a massive catalog, honoring that band's history while helping it evolve, and what it takes to keep the groove alive night after night, year after year. We'll dig into the musicianship, the chemistry, the responsibility of carrying those songs forward, and the moments on stage and off that only come from nearly 3 decades with one of the most enduring bands in popular music. As always, if you enjoy the groove, please hit that like button, subscribe so you don't miss any content, and share our program with others. Settle in now as we uncover the hidden connections behind the rhythm section of Chicago and hear the stories only Tris Imboden can tell.
But back to the question. I was actually, for the first time in my life, facing a summer without a tour. The first time in, not my life, but in decades.
Right.
Or what seemed like decades anyway. In 1986. Because Kenny wasn't going out. No, I'm sorry. I'm getting the years goofed up. This is 1990. Okay, right. That's what it was. Okay. In 1990. So I finished a tour with Kenny and a tour with Al Jarreau in 1989. And anyway, I was faced with not having a tour for the summer in 1990. And so at that point, George Hawkins and his girlfriend, the bass player I'd mentioned from Kenny Loggins, and myself, were all living in the same house. And so Bill Champlin calls up George, because they were great friends, and said, "Hey, have you seen Tris around? You have a number for Tris?" And George said, "Just a second, he's right here." So he gave the phone to me, and I it was like, "Bill," and he said, "Hey man, what are you doing this summer?" And I said, "Funny you should ask." So he said, "How'd you like to play with the band?" And there it is again. I gotta say, let me think about it. Yes. My God, man, Chicago, are you kidding me? So there was no audition. There was nothing. I was so beyond flattered that they would do this. But I was scheduled to leave the next day after getting this news for Lima, Peru. My then girlfriend and I had recorded with a Peruvian artist, and he wanted us down there to do a video. So a music video, because she was also a choreographer. So anyway, the next thing I know, Jason Sheff's at my house with the live tape of Chicago's show. And The next day, I'm flying to Lima, listening to Chicago, trying to learn their show, going, I'm going to be the drummer of Chicago? What?
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
so, yeah, so I still was pinching myself the whole time I was in Peru. Anyway, came back and we got together and played, and that was it, man. We locked right away. You know, I made sure I knew every corner, nook and cranny of that show, you know, that show tape that they'd given me.
And I'm sure that covered a lot of ground, because we're talking that's probably after about 20 different albums that they put out. And
well, yeah, exactly. What they had recorded 2021, and it was in the can already, all except for one song. And after I joined, we'd gone in to record that one song. It was a Diane Warren song called "Explain It to My Heart."
Okay.
That features both Jason and Bill Champlin, kind of doing a duet on it.
I gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. So you had to really cover a lot of ground, because it went all the way from songs like Beginnings and Call on Me and 25 or 6 to 4 all the way up. So I'm sure that show had a lot of different levels to it. So yeah.
Yeah, but I was David, I was such a huge fan of Chicago already that, for the most part, I knew, most of the songs that they had in their show. The arrangements had evolved,
Right.
But I knew, just about every song.
Yeah.
I mean, we all do. Kind of Chicago, if you're of my age anyway.
Right.
You can't help but know the stuff.
Oh yeah.
So
well, the story we always tell is that when I was I'm a little bit younger than you are, but I was playing 25 or 6 to 4 in my high school band, and 30 years later, my daughter was playing 25 or 6 to 4 in her high school band. So some of those songs are timeless, right? And right.
Absolutely.
It's one of those things where their music has transcended generations. So there's a whole bunch of people that know that. I'm not sure, but I vividly recall discovering you from a version of Just You and Me, which was obviously Chicago 6. But this was played on Chicago 26, which was their live performance.
Oh, right.
Yeah, right. in of all places, Chicago. That's Kelly's hometown, So anyway, to set this up, I was on a road trip, and that song, which I've loved ever since it came out in Chicago 6, but I'd never heard the live version, and all of a sudden I'm listening to this, and in the original studio version, there's a soprano sax solo by Walt Perizador. And it was cool solo, by the way. I mean, I remember that from the original, but then Danny's playing behind that. In my mind, he's not doing anything really special, but on the 26 version, there's a much, much longer break. It's maybe 2 or 3 times as long as the one on the studio version. And during the first half of that waltz, and this time he's playing flute instead of soprano sax, he just kind of noodles around a little bit on top of some of the sustained keyboard chords. But it's what you do behind that, and specifically on the hi-hat, that just caught my attention. And I don't know if you remember that part, but it's something that I listen to over and over and over again. And then halfway through the solo, the mood changes abruptly, and you actually lead that because you go away from the hi-hat, and all of a sudden now you're doing the heavily accented snare hits. But it's an interesting pattern. It's a very fascinating pattern that you're playing behind that. It's not just the 4 on the floor thing. So do you remember that at all? And do you remember what you were doing?
Well, thank you. I haven't listened to that record in a long time. But I remember kind of being happy with most of the captured performances from that show.
Right.
And I'll have to go back and listen to that. But I can tell you that was always, kind of the closest thing to a total improvisational moment in the Chicago show.
Okay.
Was we all kind of like, we were all laying for just you and me, because it was so much fun. We never knew what was going to happen exactly. And, there was, loose structure to it. We knew we wanted to build dynamically through waltz solo, but it depended on what Walt was doing too, and or what Jason was doing. And Jason and I would get in musical conversations, bass and drums on that tune, as we all would,
Right.
So I don't remember exactly what I'd played, but I'm glad you liked it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, loved it. So during that time, like you said, Jason was the primary bass guy. Who was on keyboards? Was that Robert Lamm or was that Bill?
Well, it was both of them.
Okay.
Robert played. Really didn't play much organ at that point. That's Bill's kind of forte, although he's a brilliant pianist too, and all-round keyboardist. And so Bill played B3 and Rhodes, and really covered most of the David Foster oriented piano stuff.
Gotcha.
Bill had worked with David for years before he was with Chicago,
right?
And he really knew David's style kind of in and out too. Not to say Robert doesn't, because he does too.
Right.
But it was sort of left to Bill.
Any fun stories about the horn guys? Of course, that'd be James Pankow and Loughnane, who are still tearing it up, by the way. And certainly Walt, and we're sorry that Walt is no longer touring. But any fun stories about those guys?
I don't know where to begin, but I can kind of give you an idea by saying that. Before I was even in the band, when I was still in the Kenny Loggins band, everybody in the music business, it becomes kind of a small circle of friends after if you're in it long enough, and everybody tends to know each other or what everybody's up to anyway, even if you don't know each other personally. We had heard that back in the days of debauchery, when we were all, staying up all night and thinking we were bulletproof and drinking and snorting and cavorting and, all of that, that the Chicago Horns had given themselves the name the Hole in the Ass Gang.
My God. Wow.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, I had to share that with you. Anybody in media. But that just killed me and everybody in the Loggins band. We couldn't believe it when we heard it. It was so perfect. So anyway, that's sort of indicative of how much fun those guys had.
Oh yeah,
and where to be around too.
Right. So and especially for the tenure that you're with the band, was James Pankow doing most of the horn arranging? Was that his calling?
Yes. In fact, like beyond the lion's share. Although Lee did on a few tunes do arrangements.
Okay.
But for the most part, it was all Jimmy, and he sort of honchoed most of the voicings, when they'd rehearse, the horn parts.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. I part of our calling, I guess you could call it, is something about the hidden connections. And in this case, it actually might be some hidden music. It's a shame, but there's a couple of really good tracks on Chicago 30. And I think that these really haven't gotten a lot of airplay. Most of the people that I talk, they know the classic Chicago from the 70s. But if you said, can you tell me a little bit about Better, right, off of Chicago 30, they give me like a blank stare, like, what's that, So tell us a little bit about that one. It's kind of a bluesy number, right, if I recall correctly?
Yes, it is very bluesy. And considering it's a Bill Champlin composition,
right.
It's not surprising. He is so steeped in the blues and R&B and my God, his voice, just lends itself so well to that sort of thing. Right. But as far as a story about it, not really, we did that album in Nashville.
Okay.
And there was actually, Jason had kind of become friends with Rascal Flatts, that band.
Yes.
And Jay DeMarcus, who was, one of the main singers and composers in that band. Actually, and Jason had become really good friends. And anyway, one thing led to another. And Jay DeMarcus ended up producing that album.
Okay.
So, so anyway, we did it in Nashville.
Awesome. Yeah.
You can count on a number of things, like tomorrow the sun's gonna rise. There'll be flowers in springtime, poets will make rhymes, couples in moonlight are so right to fall. Falling in love, such a natural thing. There's a look in that one person's eyes. In the moment we know it, we don't wanna blow it, so we get way too careful and it all slips away. You've always
there's a track. There's a couple tracks I really like. That song "Feel," which is the obvious single from the album, although it wasn't successful on radio. But "Feel," I really love that recording, both with the horns and without the horns. But it's better with the horns. I think. And then there's another one, a song of Robert's called 90 Degrees and Freezing.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of really edgy, but I really like that, man. It's kind of nasty, you know?
Okay, yeah.
Here I am in this broken town, missing you, wishing you were still around. The streets are full of people happy, heading on their way. My mind, the only one who's cold on such a cryptic day. 90 degrees and freezing out here on my own. I can't shake this feeling that I'm really all alone. The sun's way up there shining, but down here on the ground, it's 90 degrees and freezing.
Cool. All right. The other one that I had that I liked on that one was Already Gone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one, too.
May never know exactly what you're feeling, but it seems you're on another road. Maybe I'm the last to see the glances you've been stealing. What you're looking for is taking its toll. No guarantees, so baby, please, gotta keep the sugar coating to yourself. Either stay with me or set me free. Gotta let me get myself off the shelf. Up in here, it's all clear. You're already gone. And I know, 'cause it shows you're already gone. And you're already gone down the road, all on your own. Check, please, Louise. What did I expect? And you're already gone down the road, ain't nobody home. Check, please, you squeeze. Thank you very next.
By the way, yes. Yeah, exactly. By the way, you are our first guest who's a bona fide member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So congratulations. And we'd love to know anything that you can remember about the induction and how that went down and how neat that was.
Well, God, it was amazing to be there. But I first should qualify it by saying, technically, I am not a member. I was none but the original members were officially inducted into the Hall of Fame. So that means that Danny was, I wasn't. Bill Champlin, believe it or not, wasn't.
Wow.
Nor was Jason Sheff.
Huh.
And Keith, who had been there 20 years plus, wasn't either. Keith Howland, our guitarist.
Right.
So and I'd been there longer than Keith. So yeah, it's kind of a bittersweet thing because it's like, I gave a large chunk of my life to go to the band.
Right, right.
And almost 30 years. So anyway, it's all good though. The experience of being there was amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I have to add that Danny and I have been friends, and were friends before that performance during the induction ceremony.
Mhm.
And I was really glad that he came and played with the band, because they hadn't played, even talked to each other, most of those guys, with Danny since he left.
Wow.
And and so it was kind of a real emotional thing.
Mhm.
Anyway, it was really something to experience. It really was.
Yeah, it's neat.
Yeah.
So, Tris, the last but certainly not least, we know that you've got a current project going on, the Tris Imboden Yacht Stars, and we're huge.
Yeah.
We're huge Yacht Rock fans. So, tell us a little bit about what's going on with that and what you're doing, and are you doing any tours, or how does that work?
Okay. Well, I'll try to make this short, but I should tell you how it came to pass, first of all. My wife Mary and I were planning on going to see Ringo, and I knew, so many of the guys in the band already, but particularly Greg Bissonnette and Steve Lukather.
Oh, wow.
Anyway,
okay.
Greg knew we were coming. I told him, that we'd gotten tickets and not to worry about us, and but right before we were getting ready to go, I get a call from Greg, and he said, "Tris, I can't promise, but there's a good chance that you're going to sit in tonight with us and play Ringo's drums, and we'll play double drums." And I was like, "What?" He said, "Yeah. So check out, give Peace a chance, and with a little help from my friends, because we do them as a medley." And so I'm like, "Oh my God!" So anyway, on the way to see him, my wife is driving, because I was frantically trying to learn the arrangements, and I had my headphones on and all. Anyway, we get there. I end up sitting in and playing, both those tunes on Ringo's drums, and I say still, I haven't watched since. I still can't believe it, but I see, video of it, and it's like, wow, yeah, I forgot to do that. So anyway, on the way home, my wife said, because Ringo's concept, he's got, Greg Raleigh from Santana and Journey, and right now, Colin Hay from Men at Work, and Hamish Stewart from Average White Band. And over the years, his criteria is if you have, if you were in a band that's had 3 hits, you're fair game if you would like to play in my band.
Wow.
And perform, your stuff too, in addition to my own, Ringo's own.
Mm-hmm.
And so, anyway, on the way home, my wife came up with this idea. She said, Tris, with all the people all the records you've done, which are kind of in the yacht rock genre, and with all the people and the people you've played with, if you didn't play on a hit in yacht rock, somebody that did.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
And so you could put something together kind of in that vein, like using Ringo's concept only in the yacht rock.
Mm-hmm.
So I started thinking about it, and I went, wow, that's a great idea. And it might be fun. So I made a few calls, and sure enough, everybody I called was in, if they weren't already committed, to something else.
Right.
So anyway, yeah, I mean, we've had a few personnel changes, but for the most part, it's all been, the original guys. And, I've got, Bruce Bollinger, the guitar player from, co-wrote with Michael McDonald, played on his first album, and, then went on to play with Boss Skaggs for many years. So anyway, that was our criteria.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I have Michael Paulo from the Al Jarreau band, who's a big star in the smooth jazz world in his own right, but he's played with everybody from James Ingram to Christopher Cross on saxophone and keyboards. And then a big coup was getting Carl Hergesell, who holds the record for the longest standing Kenny Loggins band member. He was with Loggins for 25 years.
Oh my!
And,
Wow.
and his voice is just perfect. It's just naturally in that Michael McDonald range. So he sounds like Michael without, when most people, when they want to sound like Michael, it's like obvious they're trying to, well, he's just naturally kind of in that realm,
Okay.
I mean, without sounding totally like him. He sings the McDonald stuff just incredibly well. So, and then incredible bass player, Alan Dermo, and then our lead singer, Jeff Gunn is one of the few guys on Heart to Heart who can do that thing going from falsetto to full voice,
Right.
before the chorus, perfectly.
Yeah.
And sing This Is It and Forever, by Loggins,
Right.
and just kill it, So, anyway, it's a great bunch of guys. And
So-
we got a show at the end of the month, too.
How can we hear this? Is there do you have any recordings of this, or are you touring, or?
Well, we've got a show at the end of the month.
Okay.
We're not touring. In that, we're a band of kind of mercenaries and vets
Right.
that have been at it for so long. We charge too much, so consequently, we don't work we don't work that much.
I got you.
All right.
Yeah. That's good that you've got that figured out well, though, haven't you?
Yeah, it's kind of comfortable, this way.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, there is some stuff online on YouTube, and
Okay.
We did.
there's a sizzle reel, which is a promo reel
Yes.
that kind of goes through some of the stuff we do.
Yeah, I listened on your website. I listened on that, and that's what piqued my interest, because like every song, right? They're all the great Yacht Rock songs, and you guys do a terrific job of like you said, kind of mimicking the greats. So great stuff. We'll look for more on that, and hope to scrape together our shekels so that maybe we can hire you for for an event.
We'll be there as a nanosecond.
There you go. Well, just to kind of wrap up our time together, Kelly and I have a little phrase that we use here on our project. And while the short name of our program is It's the Groove, that's a condensed version of the original, which is it's not the beat, it's the groove. So as a drummer, what does that phrase mean to you?
Okay. Well, I can go ad nauseum talking about that. So, which I pretty much anything I can ad nauseum, but specific to the groove, I've always adhered to what the late great Charles Mingus, the jazz bassist, used to say. I believe it was him. He said, "The groove is everyone's responsibility. It's not just the drummer. It's not the drummer and the bass alone. It's not, time and feel and all of that, is one thing. But the groove is the totality of it all, with everybody, and how it all works together, and whether it grooves or not."
Mm-hmm. I love it. Thank you very much. You've added some new context to something that we've been thinking about for a long time, really. Mm-hmm. So appreciate that. You have been the best to articulate that, and I love it. So Tris, thank you so much for spending time with us today. We're so appreciative of the time that you spent, the stories that you shared. I actually have a feeling that we should do this again sometime, because I think we could even get into more depth on it. And
I love it.
And you've shaped so many of the songs we love. Again, thank you for being on the program. I just want to tell our audience, remember to hit that like and subscribe button, share with your friends, and always remember, as Tris taught us, it's not the beat, it's the groove. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye, Kelly.
All right.